Good evening, Worlds Collide fam! Welcome to a new exciting third week race of our Moogle Cup tournament. We have Lord Batsy versus actual JP. This is Group C, I believe. I am joined in the booth tonight with Possum Morpheus. How you doing tonight?
Dwyer, I'm doing very well, thank you. I appreciate such a fantastic introduction from yourself, one of the most influential and impact-driven folks for all of the Moogles. So many of them have learned so much from you. So it is a pleasure to be in the booth with one of the goats of the Moogle Cup.
Oh, see, now you're making me blush, and they can't even see it.
That's
So,
okay
oh,
because they can't see the or hear what happened in the kitchen and how hot it is and how much fire is coming out of it. Just like how fire these runners are. Am I right, Dwyer?
you are absolutely right. These runners are on fire. Uh, he is referring to the fact that my husband is cooking and has set off our smoke detectors, which is why we're getting a little late start. But, so tonight this is going to be great because actual JP has a possible 3-0 if he takes this race. Actual JP's mentor is Sigil, who is another goat of the Moogle Cup for sure, while Lord Batsy's mentor has been Taco Mage. However, Poot Scooty is subbing in tonight, so Lord Batsy is getting the best of a lot of worlds and a lot of influential mentoring tonight. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, real talk, jokes all aside, two phenomenal mentors and two phenomenal runners. I know that Poots not only is an incredible runner, has also developed their own, league, if you will, their own flag set, which a lot of folks have really come to love. And a lot of it is about flexing power. And there is no better mentor to have than somebody who developed a flag set that does exactly what Moogle Cup wants to do, which is flex that power. So I know that Poots is really going to help out Lord Batsy here, and then Sigil, drawing from their own experience in Moogle Cup, is going to be able to give some of those lessons to actual JP to see if they can pull off that 3-0, which I don't think there's too many of those hanging out there in Moogle Cup. And if I'm not wrong, the last two Moogle Cup winners were not even 3-0. They were 2-1 in their groups. Is that correct?
We did have one 3-0. Saint Von Jester, who is Saberwolf's mentor, I believe went 3-0 last night? Or maybe the night before. So we do have one other 3-0. So this will be great if we get a second one.
Ah, well, in that case, I suppose we should cheer for a good, clean match then between the runners. See if Lord Batsy can stop that 3-0 or if actual JP can get it. But either way, our runners are going to be working with a very high power flag set here. Lots of really cool dead checks where, no no magicite, no character can get a really nice piece of gear. Of the different options, I think my favorite actually is a Genji glove because of how many other weapons you're going to find, and someone usually can use them. What's kind of some of the things that you look for, Dwight, in this?
Well, I will have to say I am all for an experience egg. If I can find one of those early in the shops, that is a game solved right there because levels are king in Worlds Collide.
All right, and speaking of kings and queens, it looks like we have our two runners on their main screen. We have an Ultros in the hash, so that means the seat is blessed. Probably going to have to be a Yeti start if that's the case, and then it's just a matter of how much time before the Yeti is yeeted from the party, left on the airship to pilot, much to the chagrin of our restreamer, Drinks Glue, and also we have our tracker tonight, Greth, and thank you both of them behind the scenes. We have a Setzer with health, we have a Terra with tools, we have a Cyan that high rolled with 31 magic. Yes, folks, that is a high roll, and natural magic. So, I mean, that's a cool start character-wise as far as the checks are concerned. Terra has a lot of viability long-term as a big stick wielder, but the abilities and stats themselves leave a little bit to be wanted.
Well, he did roll high, so we might actually see a Mage Cyan tonight, which, you could take it or leave it. It's a polarizing thing, much like the Yeti, I know that. But having that health early on will help them get through some early grind fights at that level 3. And then tools is also nice depending on, they start with one tool, so depending on which one they start with, say like a flash or a drill, that will definitely help them with the offense in the very, very early start of the game.
Yeah, definitely going to be eyes open for flash, eyes open for drill if we don't have it, even chainsaw in a pinch. Air anchor also, if part of the long-term plan does include, uh, a wonderful tools user there, then air anchor can be really, really nice. And we do see super balls and fire rods. That is pretty hype right there. And we get a check from actual JP going up the mountain to tell us that there's a Mog there. So we know Yeti would lead to a Mog.
So what would you be thinking if you saw those super balls and rods? Would that change your routing based on checks or possibly taking a dragon?
Yeah, so it would make it so that I cared a little less about what was in the Colosseum, because part of the reason you go to the Colosseum is to find a nice shiny thing to have somebody use. In this case, likely Terra. It would allow me to basically not care as much about keeping as many items for that Colosseum and just put the big ticket items to the vendors, sell them, get my super balls, go blow up a dragon or two. Uh, we have sealed gate to loot anyway, as actual JP is doing, while Lord Batsy is doing returners. So there's a lot of loot to be had and a lot of super balls to be purchased.
For sure. Now, I know that chests are a lot better in the Moogle Cup flag set than in the Ultros League, so the chance of getting, a high value item or even a big stick or like that egg that I was talking about earlier, that's a lot higher chance of that. So we're definitely going to be hitting the sealed gate, probably with both runners pretty soon as Lord Batsy gets finished looting, just because of the high content of chests between the Imperial base and the sealed gate itself.
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, we got a fire rod on Lord Batsy's side. It was kind of the big thing, and flash out of the shop, which is very relevant. Flash being one of those tools you really want to look out for. But on actual JP's side, the only thing we really found was a Thunder Shield, which has already been equalized by Lord Batsy from South Figaro. So far, Sealed Gate not really giving us too much. We did see some earrings in the shop. I want to say it was in Narsh World of Balance. So our runners will have access to earrings, which will be nice for Flash, nice early on. This party, though, I'm not loving the long-term magical prospects here. I
Ooh,
am
that was
loving
an
that
air
air
anchor.
anchor. Yeah.
Oh, that is a nice find. That is instant death guaranteed for those enemies that are susceptible to instant death. And if Terra happens to go to Final Kefka, that can definitely be used for tiers 1 and 2.
Yeah, air anchor is one of the most interesting things out there because the accuracy on it is actually 100%. So all the times you would struggle sitting there waiting for your X zones, your Dooms, your Odins, your Raidens, all of these things to hit your X-Furs, uh, you're just never going to miss with Air Anchor. It does let the enemy take an action, but it is a guaranteed instant death. So, like, that's a really big pickup. Honestly, enough of a pickup for me to take that tools user to the end and not even have to worry about the other stuff. I believe we also was that some fixed dice on JP's side in Sealed Gate?
That was some fixed dice. There was also some force armor. So depending on whether JP wants to keep the fixed dice for offense or sell it, that's a lot of money for a lot of Super Balls. And that was a Ragnarok. Dead check
Yeah.
sealed gate. However, big stick for Terra, I wouldn't be that mad about it.
Yeah, that's a Ragnarok and fixed dice. That means that I would actually be very much in consideration of peeking real quickly in the Colosseum, not for big swords, but for an offering. Because offering fixed dice cures a lot of woes early to mid game in Worlds Collide. Taking it to Final Kefka is a dubious choice at best, but the way that it will power you through the early to mid game, even in Moogle Cup, uh, would be quite something. So I'm very curious to see if anybody takes that route. Looks like only 15k for Zen Thief, which is pretty good considering it can max at about 60k. So that's pretty nice as well.
Absolutely. You mentioned the Genji glove earlier. Lord Batsy found one in the South Figaro Mayor's shop. So if we find another thing of fixed dice, or if we find, say, a Valiant Knife or an Atma weapon, that's going to be great to have in the back pocket.
Yeah, it looks like actual JP picking up 6 earrings and still having enough money left for the glowing stones. We did see super balls as well available in Zed also, so lots of super balls floating around, which means no struggles for early dragons. And part of the cool thing about that with this flag set is that dragons do not increase your scaling, so they're literally just free to take. You go up to the dragon, you beat it, you get its loot. It gives you a bunch of XP, a bunch of magic points, and you don't have to worry about, losing traction on the seed. It's just free real estate. So, dragons really, really nice in this flag set. I'm excited to see if we get any Super Ball purchases, especially on Lord Batsy's side, because I think we're going to go Sealed Gate next, which means we'll have done Basement, Returners, Narsh, and Sealed Gate. That's a lot of money, a lot of loot, just a lot of stuff. And we'll see if actual JP goes basement as well, or if they are going to forego the basement and just loot the town here.
I can imagine that JP's probably going to loot that basement, just because it is early game and he knows those super balls are out there. He just sold stuff for earrings and the Zone Seek Esper at Zen Thief. So I have a feeling he's going to be taking in as much loot as possible just to try to get that extra money moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It may also still need things like sleeping bags, where you're basically going to be running around. You need a healing of some sort, tent, sleeping bags, things like that. I don't know that we have any tents for anyone. And sleeping bags, they are the preferred healing for most runners in a Worlds Collide, since you can just single target and heal someone to full, remove their statuses. It won't bring them back from the dead, but it'll do just about everything else.
I'm actually also really curious. We haven't seen what's on that Zone Seek Esper. If we've got some really powerful, like tier 3 magic, or even Ultima, even though we wouldn't be able to cast it right away just because of the MP cost, even in Moogle Cup, um, taking those early dragons and taking those early fights, that is a guaranteed, you know, learning of those spells.
Yeah, there's an interesting approach that you could take with this seed, that not only do you have dragons that you can go for right away, but you can just drop a save, and you can also load up whatever the fight is in Search the Skies with Setzer. And if that's something that's free via Super Balls or free via rods or just free in general because you have something like Air Anchor, let's say it's a leader, or let's say it's Hide-In because you can use Revivifies and Phoenix Downs on undead bosses, that save scumming or potential use of Search the Skies early as a boost is on the table here as well for our runners. So I'm very curious if dragons, Search the Skies, anything like that gets used, to your point, to really get the runners going here, because they're gonna have power. We've got multiple shields, elemental shields. We've got whatever's on those espers. We have an Aegis Shield as well. I missed the first time around. We have a Ragnarok. We have a set of fixed dice. And we know we have people that can use them as well. Terra's a guaranteed rag user. Setzer's a guaranteed dice user. So there's a lot to love about the start here for our runners.
So that kind of just brings up the question. We've talked a lot about dragons. And you brought up the Search the Skies check, which I didn't even think of. That would be a genius idea, especially, if you bought those super balls or the rods or with the instant death, like you said. Um, where would you go first after Sealed Gate? What would you be looking at checks wise?
Dragons. Pure with this team, purely dragons. Like you could peak Coliseum maybe after 1 or 2 checks or something, but this is a case where I would absolutely prioritize the Opera House Dragon, and if that failed, I would probably climb Tritok and Ice Dragon. as my first and second check if like it was, let's say, blue dragon and opera house, which water abilities are just really mean early on. It would be a situation where I would look to try to leverage the heck out of those super balls and get my team going. The faster I get off the ground, the faster I'm hitting things real hard with Ragnaroks and fixed ice. And I think that's kind of the name of the game from the go fast perspective, especially now having this EXP egg. I know that's your favorite relic, so I'm gonna let you take this one.
Oh, that EXP egg is nice. If you put that on a character, they're going to get double the experience from whatever fights you take. Um, Again, I hate to bring up the whole dragon thing, but if they wanted to take one now after putting that EXP egg on somebody, that character is going to be way above scaling at that point. Um, and the nice thing about that is any character can use it. Now, you're probably going to want to put it on a character that you already have plans taking all the way to the end. That way it's not wasted. But with the Ragnarok that we got, with Terra and Edgar being natural users, and especially with, I believe, Terra having the tools, I can imagine that EXP egg is going to go on one of those two characters.
Yeah, I think I personally would slam it on Edgar, and part of the reason is also I believe I might be imagining this, but I think he had Blitz. And while you probably don't need your Blitz user to get to being able to use, Bum Rush, it could be a nice thing to have so that, you can maybe not have to worry about running into a poltergeist on a lane where you can't attack it with a Ragnarok. It's food for thought anyway. That worst case scenario, it's an Edgar with a Ragnarok and an XP egg. Best case scenario, I have Blitz and I have Bum Rush, and I can get through something extra by taking the little bit of time to learn it. So that's probably where my egg would go, unless it was also like Hera, who is natural magic. Then I would probably want to get them as many levels as possible, as quick as possible. So I think the Natty Magic user here was Cyan, not Terra. So I think, long story short, after all of that, it would go on Edgar.
That's a good point. I mean, you mentioned Bum Rush, but we don't even have to get that far. The sooner you get to Mantra, that is a great blitz, especially on Tier 3 with the trains and taking out the silence and the blind. However, we'd already have it by then. But even having that early with the extra healing and the extra status removal, I mean, that's nothing to scoff at either.
Yeah, absolutely. Mantra is huge. The healing, the ability to remove those awful train statuses, and oh baby, that's a Mag 2 Esper. So this is interesting. I would consider the egg early on whoever has the Magic 2 Esper. So if that is... Yeah, okay, so we're going to be buffing the heck out of Edgar's magic, it looks like, a little bit early here. I would consider making Terra a mage in this case, giving her the egg early with the Mag 2, and after like 15 levels, then putting the egg on Edgar. Because that early magic, if we find any spell of value, that's so huge.
You're absolutely right, but I'm actually wondering if Lord Batsy is maybe considering the Bum Rush route, just because I believe a lot of the blitzes are actually magic power based.
Yeah, absolutely could be. Looks like we're un-Moogle charming here, so maybe taking a random encounter to get some HP before going after a dragon. Trappers are fine, except that I think they have Mad Sigil, or Mad Signal or something. Mad Sigil is probably sitting somewhere with actual JP if there's something that goes awry, some unlucky RNG. But Mad Signal would confuse the party, which could get a little spooky, especially if the flash was used on the own party or something, which that would not be ideal. But we do get through this fight. Trappers are down. 10 magic points are gained, some XP is gained, and this probably puts us out of range of dying to random things from dragons. While on JP's side, it looks like we're opting for a dragon as well, but looping it in with a check. This is going to be the Zozo check for actual JP. So I like this as well because it routes in a dragon. Plus, you can get the Esper first if it is one, or get the character first, and then double back for the dragon, which is always a fun thing to do to make sure those magic points don't go to waste.
You're right. Man, that flash is doing Lord Batsy justice there. With that high magic power on Terra, 200 to 300 damage at the level that they're at. That's going to get them through those grind fights very fast.
Yeah, we'll see. Looks like that is enough for Lord Bats. You're gonna pop out, maybe throw a potion on people, I think, or a sleeping bag. Yeah, make sure they're healed up a little bit. So just in case we get a dragon that decides it wants to pop off a little bit, we don't just fall over, which I think is a very cogent line of thinking there. And we do see an Esper on actual JP's side before getting the dragon. So again, really like this decision making here in order to get some extra value out of that potential dragon. Again, hoping that it's not something really, really silly. We have Lord Batsy falling down into the hole. What dragon awaits both of our runners is a big question. And it is the
Ooh.
blue dragon. That is the worst possible one to find. But we do have a couple of rods here. Oh, we have 9 fire rods and a thunder rod. I didn't realize how much we had there. Flash Rain is a rough ability early on, but we do live because of those levels. So good on Lord Batsy.
Yeah, I think between those rods and those extra grind fights that they took, I think that was very smart, good planning, and yeah, this dragon isn't going to last long at all.
Yeah, in fact, that dragon is already gone. But Blue Dragon, that is, again, probably the worst one out of the way, just because of the way that the magic attacks work. Flash Rain being air quote at the low end when it's pretty rude. Just an Ice Shield, but the bigger victory there was getting all of the magic points to levels. All of a sudden, everyone's level 15. Edgar is level 19. Edgar's also going to have a ton of magic, and I know what you just saw there, so take it away.
Oh, that Phoenix Esper! It's only, I think it was what, HP plus 10%, so not that great. But we've got Merton. We've found several shields, and it had Berserk. So if we run into Magimaster, JP's gonna have that taken care of, no problem. That is a good Esper to find.
Yeah, we have 2 Thunder Shields, I believe, for each runner, and we also have a red jacket, I believe. So that is at least 3/4 of our Merton protection. On Lord Batsy, having picked up the Ice Shield, they may be all the way there already. They're not quite going to have that Esper yet, but they're going to get it real soon. Whereas actual JP, this is a big moment for them. Red Dragon is generally much better because it can do things like just basic fire. But this is going to be a second dragon for Lord Batsy. That's a really good second Super Bowl roll. 6,400, I think, might actually be maximum. I know it goes as low as 256, but that was a big old roll.
No kidding. I bet he's wishing that was the first ball, but hey, I mean, you can't complain whenever you see the max damage like that.
Yeah, beggars, choosers, and all that. But we do pick up Berserk and Merton on Terra already. I'm gonna get this Ice Shield, okay, well, it was an Ice Shield anyway. So dragons are only giving out Ice Shields, so yeah, Merton protection is done for our runners. Neat.
I mean, you can't complain about early Merton. I mean, that's gonna get them through most of the seed now. Alright, looks like we're gonna get a Tomb play from actual JP, while Lord Batsy is taking on their red dragon.
Yeah, I'm curious on our runner's side how long it takes us to get to Search the Skies. I would really love to see that happen sooner than later because it can't be a character. We want to get those Espers and learn as much as possible from them early on. Any stat boosts are best served to get as soon as possible. So I like prioritizing checks like that in this case, just to make sure we have time to learn everything we need to learn and to really take advantage of those stat boosts that could be there. And we'll see if, Lord Batsy does it or if we get Search the Skies after this check. Also, will be interesting to see if actual JP goes after monster boxes here. Knowing that we have fixed ice, an offering could go a long way. Certainly not necessary, though.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the fixed dice or the monster in a box here. I wonder if that went into his thinking about what check to do next. And I'm also wondering if maybe he's picking this one. Maybe he doesn't like that cyan, and he's actually hoping for another character, just to maybe have a better one for that fourth slot.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. It's tough to say exactly what the mind of the runner would be in this case. I don't think there's a wrong choice in this seed. And that is one of the neat parts, is that I think you can kind of do whatever you want here. You have so much power, and yeah, we do a full Merton protection already, which is fantastic. So as far as our runners are concerned, the only I would say like air quote bad check at this point, and it's not even that bad, would be Let River, because you would still get XP from encounters. But outside of that, I think everything else is pretty much fair game. I would just stray away from the river personally.
Yeah, I don't think, since they were able to take dragons and Lord Batsy took those grand fights outside of Opera House, d- Elite just doesn't seem as appetizing because the grind fights aren't needed as much at this point. Um, there's probably better ways that they can get that EXP at this point. I did not see what was in the tomb. Did you?
Gogo is in the tomb, which is very interesting. Uh, Gogo is going to be tough to get in this party, primarily because we have two people that are doing physical damage, and we have Merton. Hera's already going to do a lot of damage with it. Cyan now also has the +2 Magic Esper on JP's side, so I don't really see a home for Gogo for JP. Maybe there's one for Lord Batsy, but this is not really a Go-Go team. It's also really not a Go-Go flag set, if I'm being completely honest. And I hate to say that as a Go-Go stan. I know Glue loves his Yeti, and I love my Go-Go. But this really isn't the situation for Go-Go.
Yeah, I can imagine that JP was not very happy to see that. I mean, it is progression, yes, but it's probably not the progression you want just because Gogo only has one check to do. So not a lot of options there. I can imagine Lord Batsy might not be too thrilled to see that either. Um, we didn't really mention that JP did take the monster in a box and it was a Lobo, I think. So no good stuff there.
Yeah, looks like Lord Batsy says, heck those boxes, I don't need them. Offerings are for nerds, and I'm no nerd. That's I'm sure the exact line of thinking that Lord Batsy had. Those exact words as well. Looks like actual JP going to be going and doing the Blue Dragon here and going to get their complimentary Ice Shield. Can never have too many shields. Can always throw them at Kefka at the end of the seed, or in a pinch throw them at like a Magi Master for some early burst damage. But I am curious on Lord Batsy's side, kind of following in JP's footsteps, or they're following in others' footsteps. Once we get this go-go, do we go down to one party member? And do we just do the go-go check right away? Since it is a funneled check and either there's a chain of characters through it or it's dead and you have to look elsewhere. I am curious if that ends up happening at all. We see
Oh
Water Edge come out on
no!
JP's side, and that
And
is the
that is a
fear with the
reset.
Blue Dragon. Yeah.
Oh. I wonder at this point if he's going to try it again. Or do you think he might actually try like the Search the Skies or hop up to the Tritalk and Ice Dragon spot?
I think he can do it again, just maybe needs to heal. That's one of the problems with the Blue Dragon is everything scales so aggressively with water abilities that you just get put in a situation where it's rough to find the Blue Dragon early. It's just mean. The White Dragon can also be a problem if it hits you with like level question mark Pearl, Scar Beam, things like that. But Blue is by far the worst, in my opinion, to find early. And unfortunately, JP was shown why. We do see Lord Batsy did not go down to one character, so not doing Gogo's check, but is searching the skies, and it is Senor Behemoth. So this is an interesting one. They could have just thrown some fire rods at it real early, and then gone through and revivified the back half of it. This is a fantastic thing to find, though, for our runners in this flag set.
Yeah, with the Moogle Cup flag set, as I'm sure a lot of people out there already know, but in case somebody doesn't, the undead flags are turned on. So the second half of this is an undead fight, so it can be insta-killed with, like you said, a Revivify or a Phoenix Down, or other forms of instant death, such as that Air Anchor. Um, so yeah, this is a great fight to find. You can get through the first part. It's kind of the meaner of the two, but we're not going to be throwing pearls out. We're not going to be proccing flares too much, from what I can see. So it'll be easy to get through that first half and then kill off the second half incredibly fast.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize we're in the spell menu for Lord Batsy, and there's that imp spell sitting there. One of the neat things you can do with Senor Behemoth is you can cast imp on it. It will land, and it will always cause Senor Behemoth to physically crit once it lands, but it basically makes the fight completely free. So we do see the second half of this is going to get revivified, which I like, but it is cool that the imp strat was there, and also, busting up some fire rods would have been there as well. So lots of cool tech that could have been used on that fight. Definitely something that runners of many, many levels can learn how to handle good old Senor Behemoth. And we are rewarded with a dead check. Let's see if this is an actual reward or a fake reward. And I would say a Flame Shield is a fake reward at this point. It could be nice with maybe an Atma user later on, so your Flame Shield can be put on and their healing can be via Merton. But other than that, we've seen too many shields already.
Yeah, the shields are kind of losing their luster a little bit. The flame shield is nice, like you said, just because that is the free healing with Merton. So an Atma user, you're gonna love it on them. But yeah, probably not excited to see that at all. I love the check that JP is doing. I am a huge Doma Dream fan. It is one of my favorite checks in the game. So I am loving this. Here's hoping for Esper character Esper. That would be the ultimate thing that I would really want to see here, I think.
Would you say that would be the dream?
I would say that that would be the dream.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Rexel, this is French vanilla, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere in Dream. I don't know where. I've only played vanilla once, so I don't know these things. But we have a nice big roll there off fixed dice. Just do 4,000 damage with your fixed dice and 1,800 with your attack, and you'll just be done with Rexel. That's pretty decent.
Yeah. Just so you know, Rexall is the in-boss of Doma Dream. So yes, French vanilla. But oh, man, that was a great dice roll. That is really what you want to see, because Rexall can be very annoying. Not that he's hard, but if you don't have controlled damage and you're swinging at the little guys, they're going to disappear and reappear, and you have to wait for all that. And plus, he's got such high magic defense that physical is the way to go. However, JP doesn't even have to worry. He's gone, and this is going to be an Esper. Just because we saw that Imp Sprite and Doma Dream being guaranteed progression in that second check.
Yeah, and looks like we have a very concerning fight here on Lord Batsy's side. Not because it's difficult, but because this fight can make you kill yourself. That is not something that you want to have happen. The tap dancers love something called waist shake, and it is basically just I tap you on the shoulder, you get confused. Now they were nice enough to unconfuse Cyan that got confused, but it's one of those situations where the longer these enemies are on the screen, the scarier they are. So get them off of the screen as soon as possible. The net that came out from Marshall, also not ideal because it landed on Terra, but we should be through, and Lord Batsy avoids some potential disaster there, which is good. Actual JP, we saw that they're going to be getting an Esper, so it's going to be Esper, something. But either way, 2 Espers is good. We see a nice utility Esper or Magicite on Lord Batsy's side. It looks like we're routing in Kefka and Narsh, as well as doing the check there for the Welk for Terra. So kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone here, and does have 5 characters, so the Yeti can kind of chill on the bench and go ahead and just vibe a bit while we're doing damage with other people.
Mm-hmm. I like this Cafe at Narsh play. There's, unless you have Mog, there's really no good place other than the Welk check to kind of to route this in. Looks like it could be an Esper or Dead check. Looks like Batsy is going to go ahead and take it. Why not? You're here, you made that walk, you might as well. And that is mute on Fenrir on JP's side. That is, that's nice. Talking about killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, Fenrir, Fenfar, Fen wherever you are, get in my party if you're a Fenrir Esper with a mute. That is something that I will take in every seed every time. That is just fantastic. We see actual JP going to cast Merton here on the tentacles. This is going to be fine, but not have the full results that you would hope for, because the bottom right tentacle will just say nah. But yeah, that set of dice rolls and that hit from Edgar are going to take care of the rest of it. 0 counters on the tentacle fight, by the way. Would love to have that luck in my runs. Well done, JP, winning the RNG lottery.
No kidding. That was probably one of the fastest tentacle fights I've seen. Ooh, get your spicy chickens in chat because this is a poltergeist at Kefka at Narsh.
Yeah, I don't like this. Because I think we have fire rods and we have Merton, and we have like
Yeah.
attacking with Edgar, which is not going to do a ton. Like he's still doing 1,000, but it's not great. Dice are going to be our best friend here, and we have to hope they roll well. If we have any super balls, that'd be a great time to use them. This is not an ideal fight, despite how strong we are. The best part about this is we know that it's not going to be somewhere else, but it's rough that it's here. Update on JP's side, they are up to 5 Espers because Doma Dream was a triple. Ooh, baby, a triple. That is what you love to see.
Man, that's why I love Doma Dream. It always pays off for me. We're friends. Now, I noticed I don't think I've seen any stop spells, so I'm guessing that we probably haven't learned that, which would have helped in this spicy chicken fight.
Yeah, JP just learned stop, and it was courtesy of the dice just stopping Senor Behemoth in its tracks. 7,400 damage dice roll, and was able to just basically 2-tap the Behemoth there and get out of that Search the Skies fight really fast. Lord Batsy does get through. I believe that was a flare proc, but is through on the Poltergeist, and Kefka and Narsh is going to be out of the pool for Lord Batsy. So a great fight there to get through and not have to take a reset. That's a rough one, and does pick up Stray, which has some niche use to inflict confusion, I believe. So could be potentially useful for like a Katana Soul, but not a ton else going on.
Yeah. Now, we don't know what's on that stray. That could be something very interesting. Or at least I didn't see if we saw what was on that stray. And we are getting a moogles check?
Did you see it? It's the fabled thing. It's the thing.
What is
We
the
got the
thing?
thing. The thing is when it says Ragnarok is here because you don't know if it's the Esper or the sword. It's the
Oh
troll thing.
no!
I'm so happy. It's
That
one of
just
the
made
best
your
and
night!
worst things. It's so good. I love it. Sorry, y'all. I'm super excited.
Oh my god, I'm excited for you. I don't think I've ever heard you be that happy.
I had it in
This
a
is
race one
incredible.
time with Honeydew, and we both did it, and it was the sword, and we really needed Espers, and we were ticked off about it, and we talked about it afterwards. Like, that's the dumbest thing, but it's also the funniest thing. So I've only ever seen it once before. I love that.
Oh, that is a strength +1 Esper on that Tri-Talk. That's nice. Throw that on your rag user for sure.
Yeah, so that Doma Dream, the earlier you go, the more you are rewarded. Have strength, excuse me, a strength Esper out of there also. Just going to make that Edgar even more powerful. And we see our first Doma Siege. Kind of surprising, 35 minutes in, nobody's done Siege yet. But here we go, and we are rewarded with Atma. Shouldn't be too much happening here. Yeah.
No, except for they can't use that Merton spell. That's unfortunate. We're going to have to rely on those dice, the Ragnarok, and the Ice 2 that they learned.
Yeah, so I guess we have to rely on, oh darn, Edgar hitting for 5,200 damage a swing. What a rough life.
Well, you know, it's not like the quick, Merton. Ooh, that is a shadow for Lord Batsy. A throw shadow, a vanilla shadow. Who are
Yeah,
we going to take out?
I don't know that Throw Shadow has a home as more than a backup for a lane, to be completely honest.
Oh,
Throw is
yep.
most useful early on when you can really leverage the magic power of skeins and such. But the physical aspect of things, like we kind of have it taken care of already with Ragnarok Edgar and with Fixed Ice Setzer. And it's just like, could you take that shadow? Sure. But yeah, I don't know. Looks like Lord Batsy says yes. Uh, which, I don't hate. I don't know. I think personally, it's a lot of menuing, it's a lot of re-equipping, and I don't even know if we have, any throwables yet. So we'll see what Lord Batsy opts to do here. Do we maybe put the Strength Esper? If we even have one on Lord Batsy's side, that might be on JP's side. But throwing is one of those things where it's so good super early, so good super late with a ton of levels. But the mid game throw really struggles to have a home. Is kind of one of the things I've found.
Well, I'm really curious. I don't think Lord Batsy has pumped up their Cyan with that Magic +2 Esper, so it could be that Cyan was their potato, and they just wanted something to replace that.
Yeah, it looks like Lord Batsy revisiting a shop. We had JP check a monster box there. We still haven't found for either of our runners an offering yet. So that is a bit unfortunate. It looks like we're Mag 2 powering on Shadow. I can dig that. Magic power helps with the Interceptor as well. Our little dog friend that pops out and does some damage on occasion. So it's not the worst thing to power up Interceptor there.
JP's Terra also got netted. Curious enough on the Marshall fight. However, he was able to take out those tap dancers really quick and not even have to worry about it.
Yeah, and I mean this race is still way too close to call. Our runners have basically done all of the same checks with the exception of Dream on JP's side, and I want to say the Kefka and Narsh play here on Lord Batsy's side. I think otherwise we're identical on checks, so I think JP may be slightly ahead at this point, but it's still very tough to tell. Zozo as well. Thank you to Gretham, our tracker, keeping us honest here in the booth. Paying attention while we're just kind of blabbering.
For sure, we definitely could not do this without the tracker. We can only be so entertaining and watch things at the same time. That multitasking is hard to do.
Yeah, I mean,
Now,
I can
unfortunately
barely
for
task. I can't multitask.
uh, that's just because you're a possum.
Yeah,
You can
can't
play dead
count.
and hang upside down at the same time.
Can't read. It's a wonder I can play this game.
And you play it so well too.
JP almost gets the skip there, was very close. So we did get to see two different skip attempts by our runners here. Lord Batsy did the, what I would call air quote, long skip, but the very easy skip, which is you run down into the very bottom left corner of the Kefka and Narsh check and just wait for all the soldiers to kind of walk by. And on JP's side, went for the skip of the, what are they in vanilla? Not the soldiers, but the riders, I want to say they are. The second level of enemies, basically, you wait for the guy running back and forth to get past like the fourth one in line or the third one in line. And you'll figure out your own timing on it, and then just kind of jettison straight down to the boss. So JP has been jettisoned into a poltergeist, gets a 6,900 damage Super Ball roll. I didn't even think you could roll that high, so I'm confused now. But that is fantastic and going to be a huge chunk of damage and a bonus ice shield potentially going to pop out here if the dice don't kill. That roll's not going to do it, but this ice shield may just have JP out of this fight real fast.
Yeah, I like that ice shield break. I mean, you've already got so many shields. The seed has been giving them out like candy. This is a good place to blow it.
Yeah, that's 10,000 damage right to Poltergeist Dome, and you're just done with a fight that can otherwise take a long time. So I agree. I really like that ice shield break there. The only other time I'm going to use it is Final Kefka, realistically. So that's pretty much perfect play on JP's side for that Poltergeist fight, and good RNG on that that Super Ball as well. JP's side, we are down to one character using the Kefka and Narsh play to be able to set up their characters. And we've gone down to one character because this means that not Zozo, Zone Eater is on the menu. So while the big worm is going to be trying to eat us, we're going to be trying to eat a checkup here on JP's side. Are we? Oh, we're going to do some shopping or some healing before while Lord Batsy is going through and completing their Doma Dream sequence.
Yes. Lord Batsy will be very happy with this. This will put them at 6, 7, because they've already gotten one. So they will be one up on JP after this, if JP does not find a character or Esper at Zone Eater. So this is a really interesting play. I'm curious if this is actually going to be... If Zozo is actually required to get that easy 6 character.
Yeah, it may very well be. And check-wise, there's just not a lot of check equity that our runners have at this point. JP basically being given the choice of Let River, Zozo, or Zone Eater, opting for Zone Eater in this case, which is perfectly reasonable. I would probably do Zozo myself just because this dang leprechaun on the bridge. I can't repeat the things that I would say on my own stream or, things that I would never be allowed to say in mixed company, etc. But JP just, be a god. That's cool. Just one shot it. No big deal.
I mean, he was just showing you how it's done.
Not even a menu buffer either. Just straight through.
Yeah,
Class.
no, that wasn't... That was definite class. I think I probably would have chosen the Zone Eater check just because Gogo was our last character to get for JP. And characters generally lead to characters, and even though Gogo only has this one check, I've been told that with the game logic, that, and I'll be proved wrong. And we'll just get another Ragnarok. Doesn't matter.
Well, if we have a Genji glove, and I don't know if we do, that means that
do.
Edgar can be very angry now, multiplicatively angry, since 2 Ragnaroks are going to make him be very mad, and his what is it, the Merton protection, I believe, is still a red jacket, so that's perfect as far as actual JP would be concerned. That Edgar can now just really go burr with those angry Ragnaroks. We see Lord Batsy not opting for Merton on this Tentacles fight, so is going to be taking a little bit more time here, opting for the magical route to make sure that we're taking out the Tentacles one by one. Is also getting some death counters and some counters that JP didn't see, so definitely some cleaner fights out of JP here, despite not taking what I would consider the better route through the seed to this point. Doesn't mean that JP's done anything wrong, just means that Lord Batsy, I think, has found a cleaner route, at least so far, to accomplish what they need, which is getting 6 characters and 9 espers.
Shoutouts to Lord Batsy, though, with the game knowledge of knowing that which tentacle is weak to ice, and then also knowing that, you can throw things other than the shurikens and the scrolls. You can throw those weapons that you were probably never going to use or probably sell, and one-shot a tentacle very easily, like with that Strato that we saw.
Yeah, and Strato's a big damage dealing weapon as well. Also, JP making a fool of me. This is how backburner I backburner Edgar checks. I forgot that we even had Ancient Castle still on the table. I detest this check because it just takes so long for no guaranteed value. It may very well have the goods here. Ancient Castle is known as either a boom or bust check, like it's got everything and then some, or nothing. And I really hope for JP's side here that it is something here. Because otherwise this could get real spooky. Lord Batsy could get a huge lead here because of that shadow.
Speaking of the shadow, have we done Gao's dad's house check yet on Lord Batsy's side?
I don't believe we have.
Ah, this is an interesting play then. So, unless it's just been forgotten, which I doubt it has been, um, the Velt Cave you can peek, mainly because if you see the character sprite or the Esper sprite, you know it's going to be that. So if they wanted to, if they see like the merchant or the imp, they can just reset out and go do something else. So I really like this play just because it is peekable in a way. And, you know, depending on what it is, if this is an Esper and they go to, you know, Gao's dad's house and that's an Esper, that is a really easy and fast unlock.
Yeah, Lord Batsy also peeked for us and showed us that they are at 16 checks. This is going to be check number 17, so at best they're going to be at 18 checks before unlock, which means that they're probably going to be looking to skip. Tritalk Ice Dragon mid KT, I think, is a very easy natural skip from that point if their next check is an Esper. So I think Lord Batsy set up pretty well here. JP, meanwhile, made pretty quick work of Magimaster there. That would have been a terrible thing to find early, but does get an Esper for their troubles. Really going to need a character to show up at the end of this Ancient Castle, or at the end of this to go straight over to Zozo. We do see Goddess show up here. Goddess going to have a Monday with this Edgar and throw and everything else. Didn't even love tokens, so this is not going to be much of a fight here.
Wow, did you see that quad 9 swing on with Edgar? That was incredible.
Yeah, that would lead me to wonder why we're doing anything with anyone else. I guess Ultima works also. That's going to be more quad 9s. But one of those situations where like we did a bio for a couple hundred damage, a water edge for a couple hundred damage. If our Edgar's hitting that strong, I mean, holding A seems real good here.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to attack with everybody or do everything with everybody. You can just let them wait trick and swing with that Edgar. There is nothing wrong with that.
All right, that is an Esper on Lord Batsy's side, so that puts us one Esper away. I believe that was a dog pet there, so Lord Batsy going to make some fans here. Going to make our restreamer Drinks Glue happy as well, and many members of the community will be happy that a dog, at least one, was pet. No Yetis so far have been slain, no Yetis have been yeeted, so far this is kind of a dream restream for Glue.
I know. I've been told that I have to keep a leash on him for making Yeti jokes. I feel that if a Yeti were to show up this late in the seed, he should be allowed to do one.
No, Lord
Oh,
Batsy, that's the unlock.
now the question is, I mean, listen, a 48-minute unlock, that is incredible. But now the question is, do they go for skip? Do they do... Because you're right, that Ice Dragon, Tri-Talk, and then middle lane KT would really be the best way to go. Now I wonder if they do that.
Yes. um, I would absolutely do it because it's multiple checks at extra power. It's about 4.5 to 5 minutes to get the unlock, plus it's a lot more power. You're netting basically the skip. You're also netting, in that case, extra power for your physical attackers. You get more magic points to learn spells. So I certainly respect climbing here without getting the skip. Personally, I would skip here just to get those extra 4 checks. One high tier check from the Atma Toilet Atma spot, one dragon in mid KT, one dragon at Tritalk spot, or excuse me, one dragon at Ice Dragon spot, and then the Tritalk spot. 4 very quick checks that could be done. So, you know, to each their own. I love seeing people hit for quad 9s or as much as possible, and that skip would only help with that even more.
For sure. Now, to think about the mindset, though, I mean, the runners don't know where each other are. Lord Batsy got that unlock at 48 minutes, and they're probably wondering, oh my goodness, if JP has that unlock, I just need to go. I need to not worry about skip, and I just need to go. So maybe that could have played into their routing, which would not be a bad thing at all. I have to say, if I got it unlocked that early, I'd be a little worried about maybe where my opponent was at as well. Speaking of JP, though, he did find Celis down in the ancient castle, so it paid off. He just needs to find that one Esper, and Celis does have a free check in the South Figaro basement, so this could be the equivalent of the Shadow Gal's dad's house, where this could be a very quick unlock. And depending on, JP took that extra dragon just then and did the other check at Ancient Castle, he might be closer to Skip than Batsy was.
Yeah, JP also going to have available the first 2 checks of Magitech Factory as well for Espers. So depending on where JP is on check count, and I have no earthly idea, if let's say they just need 3 more checks, or even if they need like 5 checks but need an Esper, I still think Skip is within the realm of possibility for JP. I do think that at this moment they are behind, but I don't think this is insurmountable. Especially if they end up with Skip, they'll have more levels, more things. JP also has been checking monster boxes and has come up empty. No Gigantos, no Katana Soul. So has been investing a little bit more into various forms of offense, whereas Lord Batsy is being much more straightforward and just kind of go, go, go. And we do see actual JP going to, this is South Figaro, so going to be going to the basement, I believe, doing a little bit of extra looting as well. And we'll see if they can get their unlock as well, which would be at the 52-30 mark or so, which would still be incredibly respectable. Have them on pace for somewhere in like the 115 range, which is still a very, very good time.
Yeah, I would be kind of jealous of that if I was playing. And it is an Esper. That is unlocked for JP. This has become a race, guys, for sure. Especially if JP can get that skip. That will save them 5 minutes. That will let them bypass Batsy. It all depends on what he's sitting at. And, Kefka's Tower, especially if you're going to run the whole thing, it is the great equalizer along with the final Kefka fight. There can be some nasty things in there. We can still see Doomgaze. We can still see Air Force or Inferno or Doom, which all of those can be nasty whenever you only have 2 characters in your party.
Yeah, we have a problem on Lord Batsy's side. This Flame Eater fight has gone completely sideways. And part of the reason for this is we only have fixed dice, and they are really, really mistreating Lord Batsy right now. Exploder coming out. This is going to wipe Setzer, so unfortunately this is going to be a reset for... we have exactly 1 HP in a dream. Yeah, this Ice Shield needs to come out and kill. Nope, we get another Exploder. So unfortunately,
Oh, no.
Lord Batsy going to take a wipe here, and I think this is putting JP really in the driver's seat now. Because JP's going for skip, we have a 4-party middle overload here. JP going to get the skip and is likely going to pass Lord Batsy here.
I can imagine that if JP did not go for skip, Sigil would be doing angry Sigil grunts at this point.
I mean, it depends on how many checks, JP is at. That's the big thing, is that we don't know the check counts necessarily. Lord Batsy went and looked in their menu for us, but we don't know where JP is at check-wise. Going into mid-KT here might suggest we could be as high as 20 on JP's side already. And we see another reset come out for Lord Batsy, so wondering if maybe we're looking to unequip a Flame Shield from someone else and put one on that Setzer in order to... Nope, we are warping out, so I wonder if now maybe we're going to be considering skip or reforming the party. Basically, at this point, this is where it starts to feel bad, because now if you had done, the skip sequence, basically going for extra checks, you would be net positive on it. Basically, we see Tritalk at the Atma, Toilet Atma spot, so this is fantastic on JP's side. We have any number of ways to defeat this Tritalk. Not Merton, because it is Wind Element and Tritalk will nullify it, but plenty of other offense to take care of it. So JP is through that, receives yet another shield. I can't count as high as the number of shields we've had tonight, Dwaya.
I mean, it's had to have been like 5 or 6. I feel like, just between looting and dead checks and dragons. Um, Lots of shields, 2 Genji gloves, a lot of rags. Um, Not the fabled offering that we were really looking for, unfortunately. But I mean, on JP's side at least, those dice have been doing good just for a single roll. I'm sure there's no complaints there.
Yeah, the dice betraying Lord Batsy did not betray actual JP, at least to this point. We shall see if that continues. Ice Dragon, this is probably fine. I say probably because, as we all know, there's this thing called N Cross, which can end your day if it decides to hit everybody.
Would you say that it would freeze you in your tracks?
I would definitely be pretty icy about the outcome.
Yeah, it would definitely not be a chill thing.
Oh my god, these are cold puns.
That's right, folks. We will never be asked to commentate ever again.
Alright, if we have multiple Genji gloves, we do have a second set of fixed ice for JP. That does potentially lead to a cool scenario and a cool situation where you can go ahead and equip a Genji glove to a fixed ice or anyone who, needs to have elemental protection via shield. You can use the shield for like tier 1 and 2. And then in tier 3 and 4, where you want to be doing that bonus damage and not worrying about Merton as much, or maybe after the opener of tier 3, you put the 2 dice on in this case, and then you can just go ahead and, kind of double dice instead of having to worry about the shield being on as well. So the Genji Glove gives a nice utility piece beyond actually being a really cool equipable for offense. And you gotta love this on actual JP side. We see a solo Cyan, basically. Cyan hanging out with Gogo. That's not the dream duo that you normally get, but here we are. Gotta love it.
Well, I mean, it all depends on what they run into. I think Cyan has that Merton on him. He's been pumping that +2 Magic Esper. So, I mean, Gogo can mimic that. So, I don't know. I don't hate it.
I don't hate Dataluma either. Free left lane. We know that
pretty much.
the fight can't be Magimaster. We know that none of these fights can be Goddess. We know that they can't be Poltergeist. We know that they can't be Senor Behemoth. So there's a lot of things that it can't be, which is really nice from a lane perspective. One of the weirder bosses that might cause us problems, I don't know if it's out there still. No, we saw the Atma weapon that absorbs Mert as well, or nullifies it. So yeah, that's out also. I'm trying to think of like what is out there, because Narapa we have tools for. There's not a lot that Cyan is not going to be able to get through on actual JP's side with that Gogo. So kind of a neat situation.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say Ifrit normally with that Merton, but we've got Ice too, so that's not even a big deal. Yeah, there's nothing out there that could really hurt him at this point, I don't think, unless he just got really unlucky with the Doomgaze math test.
All right, and we don't have... Okay, the red jacket goes back on. I was going to say we lost our Merton protection temporarily there on JP's side. Double Ragnarok, though. This is, this is not the fight you want for the person you're trying to jam XP on. The octopus also did not appreciate this being the encounter there, as the octopus was dispatched in one hit.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. Usually the octopus is still there and you've picked on Chupon, but Ultros, yeah. Uncle Ulti, rip.
Yeah, now I will say Lord Batsy is up to the Guardian spot, is down an Ultros and a Dataluma, so not really, too tough as far as the fights go, but there's some big differences here. All appearances in this Kefka's tower are not equal. JP is just absolutely throwing haymakers with that Edgar, as we saw yet another Ultros. So apparently there's an infestation of tentacles in the tower tonight. But Lord Batsy has an uphill climb here. Less levels, less power. Has to make up a couple of fights here, and also climb the actual final Kefka fight faster than an opponent who has them out-leveled and out-geared. This is a very tall task for Lord Batsy, but it's not impossible.
Well, considering we had that reset, I mean, Batsy has made up a lot of ground, and that's actually really impressive. So there is definitely a chance that this could happen. I mean, that is another Ultros down very fast.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to what this right lane has to offer. Is there anything that can stymie this Cyan and this Go-Go, wonder combination? Uh, I don't know. We like the worst thing maybe is a Doom that throws North Cross out. Okay, this is a fight that is actually kind of interesting. We have some fire rods. I think we're looking for a bolt. We're tossing out some Mertens here. This is what you got to worry about. Launcher into some sort of random nonsense from Air Force is spooky. This can cost time because also a spec is going to pop up, which absorbs magic. So,
nope.
Just kidding. It's just going to die.
Go-Go took one for the team. That Merton did its job. But yeah, you're right. Scareforce is very dangerous.
Yeah, I apologize, Cyan. I did not respect your game. I did not think you were going to quad 9 with Merton. Silly me. You've been sitting on a Magic 2 Esper, so you're basically maybe possibly as good as Realm now? I don't know.
I mean, any Mage Cyan fans out there, this is your seed, for sure.
All right, Fenrir has gone on Setzer. I was wondering, are we going to remember our preparation? Actual JP going to be on the switches at 102.45 with a really, really excellent climb. 110 is in the ballpark here, or 110x. I think we're just shy of that as far as what our offense can do. We don't have like the giga strong like VK offering, Atma offering stuff, but JP is no slouch here. Going to be able to do a lot of damage, and we also see launcher coming out on Lord Batsy's side. I'm scared though because that launcher threw a whole lot at Setzer.
Oh
yeah.
no!
And
And there's the shrapnel.
Go-Go.
This is why Scareforce is so scary in Kefka's tower. It can be very rude.
Yeah, so the difference in character on the right-hand side really coming into effect there, that the Cyan that's been juiced basically getting JP through that, where the Setzer who hasn't been, even with that Go-Go, ends up unfortunately taking a die. So we'll see if there's a window still for Lord Batsy here. It's going to be really tough though, because we have Mute, we have Air Anchor, we have Edgar hitting for all of the damage. We have Merton for tier 1 and 2 here as well. X-Magic, Cyan, Merton. Yeah, this is a good situation for JP, yeah.
I mean, and JP can eat a Quake. His HP is high enough that if for some reason, yeah, okay, no Quake. We're good. He's good.
Yeah. Edgar had already done like 18,000 damage to the head, so yeah, not an issue.
No. Yeah, and JP remembering another great thing about this flag set is multi-summon is on. So getting that Fenrir on tier 1, where the hits are really hard, that was a big brain play. That definitely kept him safe from all those counterattacks. He was able to just fly right through that with no worry about any character being taken down by the counterattacks.
And good adaptation on Lord Batsy's side says, I never met a Thunder Shield I didn't like, and introduced Air Force to a Thunder Shield it sure didn't like. So that's a good way to get through that fight, is just make it go bye-bye. Lord Batsy also, still very respectably going to be on the switches at about 106, maybe a little after 106 with some menuing. But we are just going to see, actual JP here, just going to keep blitzing through this climb. Uh, Double Merton coming out, Fenrir being reapplied, Air Anchor coming out for tools, and we'll see if we get a mute cast if it hasn't already happened. It's really not even necessary with the amount of damage we're doing, but I think it's still good for safety.
Oh yeah, tier 2 can go sideways so fast whenever magic is not muted. Speaking of both of these runners, I was in Moogle Cup 2, and the times that these Moogles are putting out in this Moogle Cup 3 is phenomenal. I would have skinned a Yeti to get the times that JP has put out, that Batsy has put out, and that all the Moogles have put out in their races. So kudos to them. The quality of runners is just continually going up. The mentors that we have are doing a fantastic job, and everybody should be really, really proud of the progress that they've made so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, these times are shocking, and also you with the Yeti slander and not me is shocking. That just some unexpected things happening, and I love it.
I mean, we've got Mage Cyan, we've got Dice actually behaving on one side. Anything can happen tonight.
All right, we see, Lord Batsy has been reverse polarity. That's not very nice. The difference here, do we have instant death at all on Lord Batsy's side? Because this is one of the things that we talked about with that Air Anchor being such a good pickup.
It was in a box.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm surprised that she's not using it, but yeah, I believe Air Anchor was a very early loot spot.
Yeah, it was in the basement in Figaro, but Cyan is gone from Lord Batsy's side. So that's what I mean by the Shadow pickup. Shadow's cool, but just not quite having the same effect, love to say it, as Cyan in this seed. Oh, no, never mind. Our tools user is Terra. I apologize. I thought it was Cyan all along.
How dare you disrespect natural magic mage Cyan?
Silly me. Tier 2, by the way, while we were talking, already done for JP. So just flying through the first two tiers there, about, 90 seconds for tier 2 there, maybe? It was incredibly fast.
Yeah, I am very jealous of these speeds going through this final Kefka fight on JP's side. Now, we don't have quick, so JP will need to be a little bit careful about the damage he's throwing out on Sleep's side, just because, I mean, Meteor is going to be nasty no matter what, and Train is going to be nasty no matter what. So he will be needing to count damage, or at least try to keep in his mind, an approximate amount of damage, just to be safe with Sleep.
Yeah, I think what we can do here on JP's side, assuming this quad 9s, and it does. Oh, I was going to say attack Ultima and then attack with Edgar, but looks like we're double ultiming, so we're going to need to throw a tiny bit of magic in here. Merton might actually be too much damage if Terra's magic is too high, because it might push us into that train phase. Nope, we're going to be perfect here, actually. So Edgar can attack, and, well, we're going to be down to 1 HP. Who cares, I guess. But we are going to be moving on through to tier 4 since Calmness has now come and gone. So JP going to be, just over that 110 mark, which I thought was pretty reasonable given his power level. Lord Batsy, meanwhile, did have to take a reset. Not sure what happened in tier 1 there, but it may have been a consequence of the reverse polarity coming out and a bunch of people getting bombed.
Yeah, or say if Dread came out and they got a kill and lost somebody that they was really hoping to have for tier 2. Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened either. I'll be honest, I'm a little starstruck over the speed over on JP's side, and a little jealous too, because my final Kefkas never go this smooth.
Well, we have Mage Cyan, clearly the best of all mages. We have Edgar. We have just, a lot of real strong magic and physical happening here. So this climb is gonna be pretty quick. Ice 3s for quad 9s on JP's side. Just needs to attack with Edgar here to push past Fallen One. And then can choose either to just keep pushing damage, potentially risk an Ultima, but with his party's HP that doesn't really matter because Cyan or Edgar would live. Edgar going down to Hyperdrive here, though, that is not ideal.
Yeah, this is where JP's going to have to be a little careful, because if for some reason he does get pushed into Ultima Phase and those HPs are low, say from either Goner or from just the unfortunate things like the Hyperdrives or the Havoc Wings, I mean, there is still danger in this for sure.
Yeah, I think JP just needs to wait and not do anything until we see the Goner charge. I know that it's super tempting to swing, and we're probably able to get away with it just by Edgar attacking twice and Cyan X ultiming here, but it could have been spooky. Edgar does also connect both times here, which is huge. That wasn't guaranteed. Ragnarok can miss because of extra evade here, but I think JP is going to be in here with a time right around 1:11:30, which is absolutely phenomenal. The GG's.
GG's. And while we are seeing the Thanos snap of Kefka, we are seeing Lord Batsy going up to tier 2. Now, Lord Batsy has the same things as JP did. We have the mute, we have the air anchor, we have the Fenrir. So she is going to be able to do the exact same thing. The only different thing is she's not putting out the same amount of damage, unfortunately.
Yeah, ultimately the choice to have Mage Cyan just pop off in this seed was really prescient on actual JP's side. Able to just do a ton of work there. And, as cool as Throw is, Throw ended up being a trap compared to, I think, what that Cyan had to offer. So it was really heads up by JP, being able to turn that Cyan into a Giga Mage and recognizing real early, what to do with it. And, it's going to be interesting to talk about it if we can get JP and Sigil in for an interview. Was that more of a decision from JP, from Sigil, from both? Because it's very interesting as both a learning opportunity, but also was it something that JP just wanted to do by themselves, was make Cyan? So I'm very curious to kind of hear about that decision, because it really ended up making a huge difference here.
Yeah, for sure. That was, I mean, yes, the double swing on the rags was incredible, but being able to do that quad 9 on everything with that Merton and those other spells, yeah, that definitely won a lot of fights for him. And it looks like we do have JP and Sigil both in the waiting room, so as soon as they pop up here, we can start asking our questions.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Meanwhile, we have Fenrir, I believe, about to be queued here. We have Mute coming in. Speaking of coming in, we have actual JP and Sigil joining us in the booth. Welcome on in, and GG's JP. What a heck of a time.
Hey, we did hit.
Yeah, we did.
Congrats on your 3-0.
No.
Way to go.
Huh? No.
No?
I'm still waiting for
Phone.
the async.
Oh, I am sorry. My apologies. Not quite yet.
That's why. Don't hand me those wins before I get them.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
my
How's
fault.
your house? Is your house all right?
We'll take that silence as a yes.
Wait, who are you asking?
This
You,
is
of course.
funny.
Wasn't it on
Me?
fire?
This is very funny.
No, my house was not on fire. My husband was cooking, and he set off the smoke alarms. But anyway, speaking of fire, let's talk about your gameplay. We have questions mainly Whose idea was it to take the Mage Cyan and whoever's it was, big brain play, because that was excellent.
I can't take much credit for that because I wanted to make him a striker, but he couldn't equip the Ragnarok, so it just fell
Yeah.
that way.
And I got burned in the previous Ultras League because never abused X magic like that.
Well, I mean, usually when X Magic lands on Cyan, you're never thrilled to see it. But in this seed, with that Magic +2 Esper coming out really early, along with Merton coming out really early,
Yes.
and all the shields in the world being thrown at you, it was like a match made in heaven.
I know. I never saw someone get that many shields.
Yeah,
It's almost
I
like a
had
7 VK seed.
Yeah.
I had stated that I can't count as high as the number of shields y'all got, so there were definitely shields aplenty here. One of the early places you got a shield from was a blue dragon, but not before it decided to mistreat you a little bit. Despite this time, which was incredible, it's wild to think that there were multiple wipes still, that this could have been even faster for you. So kind of take us through like the bounce back there of when something went wrong. Was there ever like, oh, I'm in danger, oh no, I need to panic, I need to go super fast? Or was it still more of just, I'm going to play my game and continue through and be methodical with this?
It was more of I'm gonna play my game. I saw the AoE only hit me for about 350, and I didn't heal before I went in, so I was just like, all right, let's heal up and we'll do it again because it's not gonna do much more than that. And I wanted to
Yeah,
run extra power just to keep going.
yeah,
especially
definitely.
since you had that rags on Edgar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about, some of your execution in this seed was fantastic. The use of Merton on the tentacles, followed up by the one tap on the remaining one that didn't die to Merton, and no counters was fantastic. The use of the ice shield against Poltergeist to get it off of your screen was fantastic. Uh, were those some things that were, just kind of off the cuff stuff you normally do? Was that mentor inspired? Uh, and are you planning on implementing those if they were not necessarily your ideas going forward?
When I was messing around by myself, I kind of knew like through shields and stuff just by watching people. But with Sigil, I refined the technique a little more because he's a really good teacher. Sometimes I need the Rosetta Stone to translate what he's trying to get at, but he's made my gameplay a lot better.
Well, now I have to ask the meme question: is how many sigil grunts did we get tonight?
I got one on the aforementioned tentacles.
Yes.
I used Merton. He was kind of like, ah.
I wasn't too sure with the wind weakness absorption.
Ah, okay. So now for a real question. So you're one race away from being done with your group stage. How has it been working with a mentor, and especially Sigil? And what would you say at this point to anyone that might be thinking or even thinking about joining the next Moogle Cup?
I'd say if you want to do it, just be open to coaching and try to improve your times. My Ultros leagues were about 2 hours, and my Moogle Cups were about 10 minutes under that at 150. So I'd like to think that this whole experience has really helped refine what I wanted to do with these seeds to begin with, but just couldn't get over the hump on my own.
All right. I like that answer. That's a good answer. Possum, you got anything else?
Not that I can really think of. Just Gigi's again a phenomenal performance. I'm not sure if that's the fastest time that anyone's put up yet, but I'm sure it's got to be in like the top 2 or 3. It was an absolutely blazing run, and looking forward to see you going forward and continuing to do great things here.
thank you very much. Appreciate the thoughts.
Absolutely. And on that note, that is a crack pow from Lord Batsy. So get your GGs in chat for them.
Yeah, an official race spot time for Lord Batsy of 1:20:15, which is not bad at all considering the trials and tribulations that they went through by comparison. The much ruder Poltergeist fight, the Flame Eater fight that was also not particularly pleasant, the Air Force fight that was rude. Just a lot of things not quite going Lord Batsy's way, plus that unfortunate reset on Final Kefka. So despite all of that, still putting up an 80-minute time, that's real darn good.
Yeah, no kidding. Again, this is a time I would have been perfectly jealous of whenever I was in Moogle Cup. So definitely nobody beat up on that time because, like you said, of all the things that happened, it was still a wonderful run. Let's see, will we be having Lord Batsy and Poots in for an interview?
Looks like we will eventually soon TM. Let everybody get themselves sorted out post race, and then they should be joining us. Well, right about now, in fact. GG's
Hello.
Lord Batsy and Poots.
Thank you.
GG's.
Mhm.
So I have to ask, how were you feeling after that Kefka Tower fight or Kefka Tower run? Because it was rude. The whole
Not
tower was
great,
rude.
but yeah, the whole tower was very rude. I was feeling pretty good before the tower.
For sure. I have to say, I admire how you got through all that, though. I think if it would have been
Thank
me, I would have been like, okay, I'm tilted, I am done, and probably would have just completely screwed the seed after that.
Ooh,
But you did a remarkable job.
thank you.
Yeah, very nice recovery.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
honestly, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say GG's to JP. Honestly, we had a really competitive division, and it's been fun to see. Cause like, I don't think I did that bad, but man, everybody's killing it here.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things that I brought up during your guys' run. I
Mm.
think a couple of times, being from Moogle Cup 2. And I'll say the same joke that I said earlier. I would have skinned a Yeti for your guys' times. So, um, listen, you all are just killing it, and I love it.
I mean, it's thanks to you guys, so thank you as always for all the help and the mentoring and the campfires. And I mean, I took like 4 hours to do a seed before I did this, so clearly it's working.
Yeah, that's crazy progress.
But yeah.
So-
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you've been working with Taco Mage,
Mhm.
and I know that you've been in there with my campfires and everything like that. Tonight you got to work with Poots, and Poots is a freaking legend. How was that?
I mean,
come on.
it was great. But no, I mean, you did great because you reminded me not to forget things when I was forgetting them. But like, you know, we did a lot of like talking about the strategy, talking through the routing, and it was a good run. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, very good.
Mhm.
Awesome, Possum. You got anything?
You said the thing.
I did say the thing. Not intentionally either. Not this time.
So the only real question I have, just kind of coming up to the end of the seed, more of an in-seed question than waxing poetic about how competitive the group is and how well everyone's been improving, which is incredible. But with the seed itself, y'all were at 18 checks going into the tower. Was there any thought to going for skip versus climbing the tower, and going up the right side and taking care of everything that way? Because it just seemed like that was one of the big differences here was you were ahead getting into Kefka's tower, and then JP uh, through the skip and your trials and tribulations was able to kind of power ahead. So just curious
Yeah.
if there was any discussion or thought process there for y'all.
We did talk about it, and at the time I was thinking, I mean, that's still like 4 more checks. I could probably have done them quick, but like Kefka's Tower can also be a fast run. I think the thing that killed it was not necessarily not going for the skip check, or the check skip, but the like, because I didn't have check skip, I forgot that I needed to put my strong party in slot 3 instead of slot 2, and that's when the trouble started. Because I think, had I done that from the start, we would have just blazed through. And I mean, I don't know, it's possible JP still would have overtaken me, of course, but I think that was more of the issue, I guess. But yeah, 4 checks seemed like a bit much, but I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we definitely discussed it, and it was like, she unlocked it at like 48 minutes or something,
Mhm.
and Edgar was well into the 40s, doing pretty good damage with that Ragnarok. Everybody else was around level 39. I thought in that moment, I thought 48 unlock is an incredible unlock time, and if Kefka's Tower goes smoothly, like you're gonna fly through it. So but we just hit a couple bumps along the road there.
Yeah, the Flame Eater fight was particularly unfortunate.
That was really unfortunate. Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
having the shield queued up, I want to say, with
Yeah.
It
1
was
HP
cute.
left, and then the exploder came out, and it was like, really, game? Like, that's not
Yeah.
very nice.
And then
No, that was great.
hilariously, we were like, oh, we can't have this party on the middle path, like they're gonna get killed. And then it was just like double Ultros, and
Yeah.
actually my crap party probably would have lived against Ultros. So, it's all rando gonna rando, but
Yeah,
that was
y'all
important.
had 3 very, very easy bosses in the tower with that Illuma double Ultros. And then Air Force actually was rude to both of you. The
Yeah.
difference was JP had an absolutely yoked Cyan with X Magic and a Mag 2 Esper for a while that just one-shot
see.
Air Force, but did get launched before that. So it was still very scary for both of y'all.
Yeah.
Air Force came to play tonight.
Yeah, Air Force killed me once. That can't have
Yeah.
helped.
You just never know with KT. It's such a dice roll, right? Like you don't, I mean, if that ice shield had gotten off and we killed Flame Eater, we probably could have just powered through and it would have been fine. But you don't know. It's like you've got Setzer there. He's kind of like one of the weaker characters in that party, and he's got 2 more bosses coming up. And if it's, we hadn't seen we hadn't seen Doom. There was a couple bosses on the table that were still pretty scary.
Yeah.
So it was like definitely the safer play, and in this instance, like didn't really pay off. But it could have gone the other way too. So
Absolutely.
and heads up play from Batsy cracking that Thunder Shield on Air Force to get through it, because I thought that was a really good move.
Thank you. After it steamrolled me the first time, I was like, nope, we're not taking any chances.
We're not going down like this.
I mean,
Yeah,
you went
with
out
all-
for revenge, for sure.
That's right.
With the 11 billion shields that y'all got, no reason not to just toss them at things to get them off your screen. So it was good adaptation on the Flame Eater and also the Air Force to just like, okay, I have disposables, I have consumables, be gone, foul creatures, be gone.
For sure. Okay, so Batsy, I'm going to ask you a question that I asked JP.
Okay.
Because you've been, your second or third race in for your group. Have you completed?
I'm done now. Yeah, I did them all this week. Oof, God.
Ooh, that is that's a lot of races.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So getting through your group phase and working with a mentor, what would you say to anybody out there who is on the fence about possibly joining the next Moogle Cup or just joining Worlds Collide in general? What would you put out there and say?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that Worlds Collide is a pretty accessible randomizer as far as like, like the basics aren't hard to grasp. There's character gating, etc. And the community's been great, like working one-on-one with mentors as well as going to campfires. There's tons of people to help. You really can ask any question, I promise. Yeah, it's been a really good experience. So, definitely if this looks fun, you should come play. Because it is fun. Even when you're like angry and swearing at bosses, it's still pretty fun.
All right, Bottom, you got anything else?
No, just kind of gonna echo the same thoughts, that went out to JP. Despite the trials and tribulations, a 120 is honestly still an incredible time and something to
Fantastic
be
time.
very proud of. So very well done to both of y'all. But Lord
Thank
Batsy, being able to bounce back from the things that did not go your way and still put up an 80-minute time is nothing shy of incredible. So great
you.
job to both of you, but especially
Absolutely.
that bounce back is
Mhm.
huge.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's tough to do sometimes when it's easy to get discouraged, especially in a race situation. But I thought she did a very good job of coming back strong and finishing.
Absolutely. Well, GG's again to both of you, and thank you guys so much for agreeing to be restreamed and for running this race, because honestly, without you, it's just me and Possum making terrible jokes, and that can only go on for so long.
Sure. Happy to help.
Thanks to the restream team. You guys do a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, with that, if there is nothing else out there, then I think we can say good night to all of you out there. Thank you for everybody still in chat watching. Definitely wouldn't do this if you guys weren't out there, so we appreciate it. And I will say good night. And thanks again, Possum, for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for being so wonderful, and thank you again to all the behind the scenes folks. Y'all are great. And remember, folks, for those out there who want more Hot Worlds Collide action, we have the RPG Limit Break Showcase for Ultros League between Taco Mage and One Free Fits at 8 Eastern on the 1st of April. That is not an April Fool's joke. That is real, I promise. Scouts Honor actually not being sarcastic for once. I threw so many things in there, it's just going to confuse people. It's great. Anyway, we're going to go say hi to our great friend, Fiery Blizzard, a Worlds Collide runner, as well as many other randomizers. So everyone, let's go enjoy some great Worlds Collide action with Fiery. Y'all have a wonderful night, and thanks again for hanging out with us.
Good night.